seeing some of the darker cats play. That's that's Peppy on the lower shelf, and that's Dreidel on the upper shelf. And here comes, well, there he goes. That's Fleet. Who else is up there? Anybody? No. Just those two. Well, it's a beautiful sunny day, and luckily I can get a couple of them up there anyway. I put some catnip up there, and I was hoping that they'd respond to it. Most of my cats, my adult cats, don't like catnip particularly. The younger cats do. The kittens especially will respond to it when they reach a certain age, but then they ignore it again. Kittens don't usually like catnip until they get to be about 4 or 5 months old. In this particular case, Dreidel likes it. And Peppy, at least, is guarding his hoard, I think. That's what it looks like to me. Now, there goes Billy up the wall for some reason. I don't know what he sees up there, but he's up to something. And we've got, hang on, because Fleet's over here, but I have to turn over here to get to him. There he goes. He's playing with the toy. At least he was playing with the toy. Let's see what he's going to do now. I'm hoping he'll come out and play with it again. That's the toy I bought last week that they played with for all of 1.5 minutes, and then they disregarded it completely until yesterday when Billy played with it for a minute, and now it looks like Fleet is showing some interest in it. I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't even know if he'll come out again because he doesn't... Oh, here comes Peppy. Fleet doesn't seem to like me to take pictures of him the way Dreidel does. Whoop! There he went! He went up the stairs. Now, Peppy just showed some interest. I wish he would come out again. But as I started to say before, the dark cats reminded me of when I was a little kid, a baby actually. I had 3 pictures in my room. One was a big one with the mama bear and the 2 baby bears. They were black bears. And the other 2 had just the cubs. Here comes... Whoop! Gesundheit, honey. That's girly girl. My girl. I hope I've got these cats right. Because my girl is Dreidel's daughter, and they look so much alike that sometimes I mess up and think that one is the other. Well, whoever that is, it's enjoying the catnip. As far as the bears are concerned, that was what was leading me into the story about my father when we were in Yellowstone Park. Now, you have to understand that I think my father inherited his gypsy tendencies from his mother, who swore she was part gypsy. That was Annie Bernstein. And Dad loved to travel. We traveled all over the United States. There were 4 states that we missed, or at least that I missed with them when we crossed country. And those were Mississippi, Missouri, Louisiana, and Alabama. But we did go to Canada. I still haven't gotten to Louisiana, and I'm dying to go to New Orleans, but, well, one of these days maybe I'll get there. Here comes Fleet again. Anyhow, we were in Yellowstone Park, and there were a couple of bears along the side of the road. I don't remember if there were cubs or not, but Dad got out of the car, which was a very foolish thing to do because we had all been told not to get out of the car if we saw bears. Now, we're talking about back in the 1950s, so really it was a stupid thing to do. But Dad got out of the car, and he was taking pictures of the bears over the hood of the car when all of a sudden the bears noticed him. And the next thing we knew, the bear was coming around the front of the car and going after my father. And it really wasn't funny at the time. It scared the out of us. But fortunately, Dad was very fast, and he got around the door and jumped into the car and closed the door and got the window up before the bear was able to attack him. But we left there without our rearview mirror because that bear just tore it right off the side of the car on the driver's side. I think that was the last time my father ever took a chance like that. At least I hope it was. That was the bear story. As far as traveling was concerned, I love to travel. I wish I wish I had the advantage of the judges who do so much traveling, but of course I don't, because I didn't have the courage to become a judge. Walter Hutzler once asked me when I was going to go into the judging program, and I told him I couldn't do it because there were some breeds that I was afraid of, and there was no way I was going to be able to handle certain cat breeds. That was back in the day when some of the cat breeds could get very nasty. It was before the breeders had worked on their temperament and finally brought them around so that they were more socialized, let's put it that way. That's Billy, who came down to chew on some catnip, and that's Cha-Cha, who's going over there to enjoy it as well. Fleet is still on the very top shelf of the cat tree looking out the window. Anyway, I did get to Mexico a number of years later. I think it was 1982, when we went to San Diego for a CFA board meeting when we had hoped to advance the Tonks to championship. They were in provisional at that point, I believe, because it was 1984 when they went into championship. But we went to the San Diego meeting to try to advance them at that point, and we were not successful. However, I was bound and determined that as long as we were so close to Mexico, that I was going to get into Mexico come hell or high water. And I checked and found that there were some really good tours. And one of them was just a 3-day tour. You went down one day on the bus, and you spent a day in, I think it was Guadalajara. I'm not positive, but I think it was Guadalajara. And I thought that would really be great because we'd come back the next day and I'd make my flight. Well, as it turned out, I thought, gee, maybe I'll ask somebody to go along with me. So I asked Sharon Roy if she'd like to go. And of course, she really wanted to go too. And she asked her mother, and her mother, Norma, said, go. And so Sharon and I got on the bus, and it took a long time to get down to the town we were going to, and the bus was a small, shaky bus, and we rode on the edges of cliffs, I think, most of the time going down. I was scared half out of my mind, and we finally got there. And it was late in the afternoon, so we checked into our hotel, and then we went out for dinner. And it was the first time I'd ever seen quail on a menu, and so naturally, being